how to never be bored. All right, Based Olympians, in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to completely eliminate boredom out of your life. Being bored is a foreign concept to me at this point, and I don't understand how so many people manage to constantly feel bored. So don't worry, I'm here to show you the way out. Let's get to it. Number 1, break down boredom. I mean, come on, boredom is just like any other problem. You have two options. You can either do something about it or not. Now, which option would you rather do? Exactly, that's what I thought. The reason people get bored is that they don't have shit to do on a day-to-day basis and depend on spontaneous activities for entertainment. But the problem is that spontaneous activities don't always appear, so you end up waiting around with your dick in your hand doing nothing, aka boredom. If you're in school, for example, and after you come home you just sit on your ass rewatching the same Netflix TV shows you already know by heart, maybe it's time to get a part-time job, start volunteering for organizations you admire, or even start working on your own business. No matter what you do, just do something. Think of it like this. If you're bored by what you currently do, then you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by just trying something else. Worst case, you're still bored, in which case you know you don't like doing that. And best case, you're not bored anymore and your problem is solved. You gotta start taking action if you want to get results. Number 2, make a list of interesting activities and experiment. This tip kind of ties into the first one. It's hard to get busy if you don't know what you like doing, right? So, you should just do a long brainstorm of things you think you might like and eventually start knocking those activities out. I offered similar advice in my video on how to find your passion, but it's so simple that it's scary. All you have to do is grab a pen and paper and write down every single thing you think you might like doing and be interested in. And when you're bored, all you have to do is whip out this piece of paper and start doing something on the list. You see, this way, you'll have lots of activities you can just try out on the days you don't have anything better to do. You will also end up finding out which activities you like doing regularly as a hobby. You can put anything on the list: new literature to read, new sports to try out, crafts you want to get into, museum or galleries you want to visit, courses you consider taking, etc. The options are limitless. If you find something you end up really liking, then you've got a new awesome hobby. If you find something you don't end up liking, then at least you know that there's one less thing you have to worry about, and you're closer to finding the actual shit you like doing. Number 3, take action when you start dwelling about being bored. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, "Oh, I'm so bored," and then they do nothing to change their predicament. The most frustrating thing is that pretty much everyone who complains about being bored is this way. If you ever feel bored, you should instantly grab the list I told you about in the previous tip and do something that's viable at the moment. If you're going to just sit around and complain about being bored, you can't expect the boredom to disappear. Being bored is one thing, being boring is another. Number 4, get away from boring situations. Now, let's talk about a different kind of boredom. Let's say you're hanging out with some people and for some reason shit gets really boring. Nobody's talking much, nobody's having fun, and you're bored. You are just stuck there, right? Wrong! You aren't stuck. You are never stuck. You always have the freedom to stand up and get the hell out of there. Those people can't expect you to stay if they're being boring. They probably do, but who cares? If you're bored, you should just go and not think about the reaction of others. If they were interesting, you wouldn't be forced to leave. Number 5, look for interesting aspects in seemingly boring situations. As I said, you always have the option to stand up and leave, so you are never really stuck in a boring situation. However, you will probably be in boring places that you can technically leave but probably shouldn't, because of the reward that it can bring. Those can be, for example, work meetings, school projects, team building trips, and different activities tied to your professional life. In those situations, most people tend to give up and only complain about how boring it is and spend the entire time bored and totally miss all the opportunities out of boredom. There is always that one person with whom you can have an interesting conversation. There is always that one piece of art you can observe and think about. You just have to be observant and not give in. Life is way too cool to be bored, and there's a bunch of shit that makes it even more interesting when you just keep a positive mindset. Use these seemingly boring situations to challenge yourself to make boring shit fun and be more amused by your own mind. Once you learn how to do this, even the most boring history lecture becomes more bearable. Number 6, become the source of entertainment. Even if it seems like there's nothing or nobody interesting around, there usually is, and that's you. And if you start being entertaining, chances are that others will join you. You know, when you're in a boring situation, you're probably thinking the same shit everybody else is thinking. Everybody in that room is probably bored out of their mind. Sometimes all it takes is cracking a few jokes to lighten up the vibe, which can result in everyone feeling a lot more comfortable. Then, those people who you thought were boring start having fun too, and it can lead to good conversations, somebody cracking jokes, and all of a sudden, everyone is now having fun and no longer bored. Number 7, use your imagination. For me, visualization of things is like an activity. I do it even when I could actually be doing different stuff, because I think it's really beneficial to the development of your mindset. That's why when you have nothing to do, this should be the obvious choice. To me, visualization can be a lot of different things. It can be living out your own stories in your head, scheming a business plan and going through the execution in your head, reliving some moments during which you acted improperly and coming up with ways to avoid doing the same in the future. The list goes on. This is a good way to practice and hone your creativity as well, because in your mind, there are no rules or limitations, so don't allow any. Number 8, join the Based Lifestyle community. If you don't already know, I have a community group chat with tons of other Based Olympians where we discuss everything from texting girls and dating advice to confidence, to workout routines, to TV shows and anything else you can think of. I created this because I wanted to have 24/7 access to a community of like-minded people who are all focused on constantly improving themselves and becoming the best damn man they could be. So, if you're ever bored and want to discuss new entertaining ideas with other Based Olympians, then click the link in the description and sign up to join the Based Lifestyle community. And if you're ever stuck in a weird dating or life situation, you can just whip out your phone and send a message with screenshots into the chat and have me and a ton of other Based Olympians there to answer your call to help. And that is it. In summary, break down boredom. Make a list of interesting activities. Take action when you start dwelling about being bored. Get away from boring situations. Look for interesting aspects of boring situations. Become the source of entertainment. Use your imagination and join the Based Lifestyle community. I'll leave it linked below. The cure to boredom and your daily life struggles are waiting to be solved. All you have to do is put it in the chat and ask. Zeus out.